Fräulein, what a lovely vision you are. Please allow me.
In this special episode of It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, I want to talk about and show some stuff of one of my favorite comic book characters of all time, and that's Nightcrawler. This month marks the 44th anniversary of the release of Giant Size X-Men #1, which was his first appearance. Released in May of 1975, What? February? What do you mean it came out in February? The cover of the book says May. May. What the... No. No, I've been waiting all year for May to come around to do this. I'm not waiting until February. Man, what the Giant Size X-Men #1 was the first original X-Men content Marvel put out in 5 years. Starting with issue number 66, X-Men was nothing but reprints of the older issues. From March of 1970 all the way to April of 1975, they were all reprints. X-Men issues 67 to 93. I mean, it was waning in popularity, but can you imagine a TV show that you love or a comic book that you love taking a 5-year hiatus and giving you reruns or reprints and pawning them off as their new issues? That's really messed up. From issue 94, which was released in August of 1975, until now, well, as they say, the rest is history. Giant Size X-Men #1 introduced a brand new team that came from all different walks of life and covered the entire globe. Charged with rescuing the original X-Men, well, minus Cyclops, who managed to escape. The team was made up of Sunfire and Banshee, who had been seen in previous X-Men comics and other Marvel titles. You have Wolverine, who is now in his second or third appearance, depending on how you look at it, from his first appearance in Hulk 181. And the newly created team members of Storm, Colossus, Thunderbird, and Nightcrawler. Of course, I wasn't born yet when this big shakeup happened, and I was way too young to get into this era of X-Men when it was coming out. It wasn't until I was in 5th grade when I became a real comic book collector. And the character that drew me into X-Men was actually Wolverine first. And that was from his appearance in an ad for subscribing to Marvel comic books. I just loved this picture. He looks like just a happy fellow with those claws. And believe me, before I knew who he was, I had a character created in my mind that did not match the Logan that we know and love. Well, from there, I tracked down Wolverine to the pages of X-Men, which led me to my local library, which had a bunch of different graphic novels. And this was my introduction to the classic Chris Claremont, John Byrne era of X-Men. And within this introduction, I met Nightcrawler. Of course, he has a look that is truly unique, and that's what drew me in. But the character itself was a hero with a heart of gold, which did not match the demon-esque exterior of his body. He was fun-loving, swashbuckling, and just a great character. It was shortly after this that I started going to comic book stores, and it was on one trip where I found this. The Nightcrawler miniseries. Let's just take a look at this, because in today's era of comics, there is nothing this nutty, crazy, and imaginative that really gave you a good gist of who the character was. In the miniseries, Nightcrawler becomes trapped in a parallel fantasy type of universe after a danger room / magic backfire. He's kind of sucked through a volcanic portal, if you will, into this weird fairy tale world. As you can see here, he's trying to save Lockheed. which is a great character that I have no idea where he falls within the Marvel Universe anymore. But wouldn't it be awesome if they put him in the movies? I mean, a little purple dragon for comic relief, for heart, for whatever, would be totally awesome. And look at this ad, by the way, bonkers. And you can get one of those awesome Transformer watches that I always wanted. It's only $3.95 and 3 bonker labels. Do they even do that anymore? Where you send in labels for stuff or proof of purchase to get crap? But the tendrils that were pulling him in were from this weird air squid. And then Lockheed fires it up on it. Oh. Who could forget this dude for Reese's Pieces? Well, we can't technically use E.T. because we'd have to pay money, so let's just create another alien. The kids will love it. But it's here that Nightcrawler is introduced to this band of air pirates that are made up of all different, like, alien races and such. All with pointed ears and kind of share characteristics that he has, but a different skin color. They're more orange and not blue like him. Then he meets a princess and starts macking. That's what I mean. He used to be this fun-loving character before all this religious heebie-jeebie crap that they threw in with him being super Catholic and all that. I mean, the dude used to date a witch. Oh man, I always used to love this ad too. Glow-in-the-dark posters, man. And I love that generic sci-fi look. That's awesome. Look at that winged bat creature thing. That's awesome. Anyway, I'm just going to hurriedly go through this so I don't spend the entire episode going over the comics, because I have a couple other things I'd like to show off. Not show off, I mean, I don't have anything really worth showing off. But look at this dragon wizard dude. He's the bad guy of the story. I mean, that's awesome. As a 9 to 10-year-old kid that I was reading this is what I expected all comics to be. And unfortunately, you really had to hunt for comic books that match this caliber of weirdness, imaginativeness, and just awesome craziness. So number 2, we quickly go through these. Awesome swashbuckling take on Jaws here. Of course, his teleporting doesn't work. Then you meet these little demon dudes named Bogies that look just like Nightcrawler, but they have little wings. And they're just generally like these impish guys. But look, they look up to him like he's their leader. Love that picture of Nightcrawler. Okay, here's Nightcrawler fighting some big worm snake things. Oh, Saturday morning ad. What was airing on Saturday mornings in 1985? Snorks, Gummy Bears, Smurfs, Punky Brewster, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Kid Video, which honestly I've never watched, Mr. T, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, plus One to Grow On. Here's the pirates fighting that shark wizard dude. Shooting their cannons at him. Oh, and here's another Saturday. This is CBS's, I believe. Yes, it is. And on this you had Dungeons and Dragons, the CBS Story Break, which I always liked, Charlie Brown and Snoopy, Berenstain Bears, Wuzzles, The Young Astronauts, Muppet Babies and Monsters, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. And look at this. An ad for just simple plastic soldiers. You couldn't get away with that crap nowadays. I don't mean because of the violence. I just mean that that's a little bit too simple for today's kids. Here we go. This is where Nightcrawler finally pulls out some cutlasses, which he's very much known for nowadays, being a swashbuckling, sword-using badass. And we're first introduced to the Bamfs. Now, number 3 introduces some more characters, and it just gets a little bit weirder. Look at this quick ad with GoBots. Grand prize, a complete set of GoBots toys. First prize, GoBot messenger vehicle. Second prize, GoBot action figure. Man, that really drops off after the grand prize, just to get one toy. That's lame. To Banff or not to Banff? And a mask ad. Awesome. Ooh, bad coloring mistake. Kind of forgot the blue there. Look at this. Alanya Rasputin with a Michael Jackson shirt on. God, I love the 80s in comic books. And here we meet Mean, who is Wolverine in this universe. Cigar smoking, not as serious Wolverine. And then Lockheed meets a dragon friend. That can talk, which is awesome. Then we meet Kitty and Colossus of that universe. Look at that Colossus. That's just the classic way he should look. Here we are fighting these flying bat things. And the humor of it. Mean swallows a case of beer, munches it up, then spits them out like bullets. Like I said, this is just zany and crazy, and one of my first introductions to real comic books. So I kinda expected them all to be that way. So maybe that's why I did gravitate more towards like independent titles, like the original Turtles and stuff, because some of that stuff was really weird and zany. And here's the 4th issue, which is the last one. And here our heroes are trapped by that shark wizard dude. And here's the Dark Banff. And here's a bunch of female people from the Banff Society. Female Nightcrawler people. Of course, they all want to mac up on Old Kurt there. What an ad. Challenge of the GoBots. They're awesome! Sorry it's so blurry. And we have a storm in this parallel universe. So we have all the classic characters. And also another letdown was, read this, loved Nightcrawler, read those graphic novels. Nightcrawler was awesome. But by the time I was actually picking up X-Men off the shelf, Nightcrawler was laid up with an injury. And it wouldn't be until a couple years later when Excalibur came out that I really got to appreciate Nightcrawler on a normal comic schedule basis. But anyway, that was the Nightcrawler miniseries. He does finally get home. I just kind of wanted to speed through that because we're already like almost 20 minutes into this, and I got a couple other things to show. I guess I'll show this one first. It's really not one of my favorites, but I just love what it is. And we got a wind-up walker Nightcrawler from X-Men 2. Now, I loved Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler. I loved how they portrayed Nightcrawler, other than the religious subtext. But I can't stand the whole runes in the face thing. And that, I like how he looks in the newer movies, but they still kind of incorporate that crap in there. And I don't understand it. I mean, I'm assuming he has like a soft, furry down, or whatever you want to call on him, because Wolverine always called him Fuzzy Elf. I mean, I just assumed he probably has like really soft, blue fur that covers his body. So why did they do this messed up, oh, I cut myself, religion people cut my crap? I just never liked that. But I like how they did Nightcrawler in the movie. I love the actor that played him. But I just find this great for the novelty weirdness of it, of a little wind-up figure. I mean, they don't even really make wind-up stuff anymore other than for novelty's sake. But his tail goes back and forth, and he walks. And if I'm not totally mistaken, I think they even made like a Thomas Jane Punisher in this style. But I couldn't get behind that. But one of my very first Nightcrawler collectibles, and unfortunately it's damaged, and that really kills me, and hopefully one day I'll find a new one, not to replace it, but just to have one complete, is this Nightcrawler PVC figure. He's missing his tail, unfortunately. Other than that, he's in great shape. These came out in 1990, and PVC figures like this were really big at one time. And the fact that you could get a bunch of characters that probably no one else in the world knew, but you could have a little piece of them in your collection, that was something big. I mean, Marvel really jumped on the bandwagon, and they had pretty much a complete universe of these little figures. I only have two of them. I have Nightcrawler and Gambit, which are two of my favorite characters from the 80s and early 90s. Again, Gambit, but originally he was pretty awesome. Excuse me, a little thirsty. Next is my first big thing I got of Nightcrawler, and that's this Bowen bust. Which, like the PVC figures, the fact that you could pick up almost any Marvel character at the time in bust form was awesome. I mean, they were classy, they're beautiful, well sculpted. This came out in 2000, so 10 years after that PVC figure. They only made 5,000 of them, and this is number 423. But I think it was like only 35 bucks at the time, and to me it was like, whoa. So I had to wait for the local comic store to have like their big Thanksgiving sale where they had everything cheaper. But it was a huge deal for me to finally get this. I loved the look on his face, the colors. They did such a great job. And he has his Banff smoke around him. I just love it. Next, they released a little tiny statue. And it's a classic pose. He's getting ready to leap into action. He's on an X base. And they did other characters of this scale. This came out in 2003. 4,000 were made. This is by Bowen as well. And for some reason I feel really nervous now holding it just freely above the floor here. But again, he has a devil-may-care expression that he's going to just leap into action at any moment. And before we get to the biggest part of my collection, this is something else I picked up. This is by a company called Toon Tumbler. Let's see here. 2006. And they were making these pint glasses, these frosted pint glasses. And yet again, they had a wide array of characters that they were putting on these glasses. And I found this at a comic convention, and I think it was like 10 bucks or something, which it's worth every cent. I mean, that's awesome. It's a classic piece, probably Dave Cockrum inspired, but awesome. I don't have any other ones. I have a very modest glass collection of other stuff, but that's pretty much the only one of Marvel character I have. Now this has a backstory. Bowen, and this is when the internet was, not what it was today, but I stumbled upon that they had a statue collecting club. And you sign up to the club and you're offered low runs on statues for cheap. I mean really cheap. And we're talking big full-size statues here. And they started off with Spider-Man. Then they did Punisher, which I have both of those. Then they did Nightcrawler, and then they followed it up with Psylocke, and I think that was it. And that was the Jim Lee Ninja Psylocke. And I regret not getting it now, but at the time after getting Nightcrawler, I was like, my heart's doing good, I can stop right now. But they were only like 25 bucks a piece. But check this out. I mean, nowadays, there's like a dozen different Nightcrawler statues in all different eras of him with like George Clooney hair, him all religious, him in different poses, and they all go for an arm and a leg, so I've never been able to get those. But this, in my opinion, is kind of rare and makes me so super happy that I have it. Again, it's on an Xmen base. He has his Banff smoke coming up around him. Nice big tail. Great pose. Great quality. And this was made in 2003. And only 2,500 of them were made. This is number 776. I'm sorry, it's not Bowen. This is NECA, who is super popular now with their great action figures. Which I just picked one up today, but we'll save that for another time. But this is, I mean, beautiful statue. Like I said, I got it for a song and a dance. Low production of them. Just great detail. And what I think it was, almost, because some of the statues aren't perfect, I think they were probably going through a trial of maybe getting away from Bowen and having another company do them, or this company just wanted to test out new ways to produce statues, or however. But that's kind of the impression I get with them. And I'll go over my other ones another day, because the Spider-Man one's pretty sweet. The Punisher one is, I mean, I've never seen a Punisher statue like this, and it's kind of based on the Tim Bradstreet design of him. But anyway, as I talk about other characters, we're here for Nightcrawler. I have plenty of other stuff in my Nightcrawler collection, but I guess we'll have to wait till February. February. Doesn't make any sense. It says May. Anyway, sorry about that. Until next time, keep being rad, stay dorky. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everybody. If you're new and you dig it, please subscribe. Hit the bell and be notified whenever there's a new episode. And like I just said, until next time, keep being rad, stay dorky. See ya!